Hello there, everybody. It is me, No Name 117 Spore, back with the Weather Waves 2, where we find out what happens when we have to individually name every aircraft squadron. Yes, this is that video. Um, so, uh, so I'm not quite liking how these aircraft squadrons have been named. You know, 1920, yeah, 4,000, 5,000. We should not be having like 4,000, 5,000 named squadrons. And I think this is just named sequentially for all the squadrons here. Yeah, and I can change the name of the squadrons. Yes! Wait, one other thing I'm going to do. Aircraft types. Um, Instead of Bs, I want to have like marks. So I want to rename you to the Audax Mark II. Actually, hold on. Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. This will be for anything. Which is, why do we have none of those floatplane scouts in service? Why do we have no? Why do we have no floatplane scouts in service? I'm confused. But yeah, I am going to be going through and naming all of the squadrons here in a moment. So, historically, what the Fleet Air Arm did, or what the Fleet Air Arm had, was they had squadron numbers blocked out from, basically, if it was a 700, an 800, a 1700, or an 1800 squadron, it was a Fleet Air Arm squadron. And then they would block those groups up basically in groups of 10, so like 800 to 809, 810 to 819, so on and so on, um, as individual. How do I put it? I'm trying to think of how to put it. As individual type, or basically types. So, some of those would be fighters, some of those would be, or, like 8-0 to, an 8-0 at the start would be fighters. And then I believe, like, or carrier-based fighters, and then 810 to 819 would be carrier-based torpedo bombers. So I'm trying to think about how that would be done in this setting. Now, obviously, stuff's gonna be a little different. Um, yeah, so stuff is gonna be a little different because of or because of the different way that aircraft carriers were kind of built here and squadrons were used and how many wars we've now fought in. So those aren't in service. Those Meteor C's aren't in service, but I'll name it Mark III. Anyway, so it's still in service. Falmers are still in service. And then we have Bisley still in service. As well as Whitley's. Okay, so that should be every plane still in service. Now, okay, Fulmer's. Oh, hold on. Rename these as Mark 3, and then rename you as Mark 1. Okay, so for whatever reason, Fulmers are still in service. Yeah. Meteors are the best flying boats, so these two should probably be obsolete. What about Meteor Mark 3s? There's the Mark 3. Yeah, the Mark 4 is the best, but, you know, Mark 3 is still kicking. Mark 3 is still good. Mark 3 is equivalent to those. What I was wanting to do was I was wanting to look up a situation where I have a lot of older aircraft in service of a type, and want to adjust it, or what basically want to unobsolete a type to get rid of another type. So yeah, I don't need Meteor Bs or Bowfighter Cs. Bowfighter Mark 4s are good. Dive Bomber wise, I'm gonna rename this to the Ripon Mark 1. Plane wise, just I'm trying to see if there is anything isn't in service, which probably should be. So like medium bombers, any medium bombers after this point, which aren't in service, which should be no. Okay, so these are considered obsolete. The Hampton Mark IIs are obsolete, but like, you know, Isleys are obsolete at this point. Yeah, because we have the Hampton Mark III. Hold on, how does a Hampton compare to a Bisley? We have like 309 Hamptons on standby, and that's better than a Bisley. Yeah, Hampton is better than a Bisley. I'm gonna say that the Hampton is not obsolete. I'd rather have them in service. Okay, Bisleys will be a little bit more active, actually. Um, but Hampton Mark IIs are gonna be unobsoleted. And I'm gonna see if I can force the on standby Hampton Mark IIs into service in place of some of the Bisleys. Um, So that was kind of that plan. But yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through and actually check the various fighter squadron. Would be nice to manually set fighter squadrons, but well. Okay, so I am trying to think about how I'm going to do these squadrons, especially since we did lose some squadrons with the loss of Centaur. As well as, you know, would have lost squadrons in the past with Audacity, Estrella, Furious, Ark Royal, and Centaur. And one thing I actually did, and I have unfortunately forgotten to put extra information in here, which I will have to do. I might actually do that after the video. Is I've made a full sheet. Technically, this is the list of battles in my campaign sheet. Oh god, I didn't want it to show the document thing. It changes as soon as I switch. Oh well, that's been shared apparently. I did not expect that to actually get shared. Um, so in short, this is a really easy way for me to set things up. So I will be doing it by blocks, similarly to how the Royal Navy did it historically. So here I can basically select whether something is carrier trained or not carrier trained, and then this selects what type of aircraft is in the slot, basically. I can put a nickname here, and I did put a poll out for this yesterday for me. It might have been actually no, day before yesterday for me. Um, and the results of that poll, 2 votes were on don't rename squadrons, 2 were on rename squadrons numerically as they did historically, but I didn't know that at the time they made the poll. 5 were on rename squadrons with cool names, and then only 1 was do consistent uh, numericals and cool names. But I am going to go with the least voted option rather than the most voted option. But I guess that satisfies 8 people technically. Um, So what I'll be able to do is I will be able to input a squad or input a squadron here and yeah. So this defines the block. So these will be fighters, and then I have multiple status. So there's inactive, reserve, destroyed, and active. So if I do active, then the whole thing kind of goes that way. Reserve squadrons. Honestly, I wish that would automatically trigger to reserve, but it doesn't, which is a little annoying. You can actually see that the type appears there when I do anything except for inactive. Even destroyed it still appears. And we'll probably have some destroyed squadrons to compensate for the groups lost on Centaur as just a kind of memorial for them existing. So we'll be able to go through the different blocks. Historically, the 700 names were for second line squadrons. Those would be stuff like the float plane scouts. But in this case, I am going to be using the 1800s, 1700s, and 800s for all of this. And yeah, obviously I can set the type. I can also set its station, but I don't actually have all the stations listed out. I used examples. And then, I have in-service things for the list of carriers. I actually probably should input that list of carriers now. I will not be inputting the list of land bases yet. I'll probably just do the land base stuff after the stream. Stream recording, moron. It is not a stream. I am not live streaming. All right, so in terms of our carriers, so we got Cressy, Euralis, and Andromeda in service. And I believe, yeah, Biter is after those. So I will be putting all these in. So Alice. I will not be doing the float plane tenders for this. I'm reasonably certain Biter comes, and actually I should probably just quickly move this over to this side. Oh, hold on. Here's what I should do. Is I should put it like I would kind of block up the list. Um, trying to just put it here. So if I do ship sunk, I can easily click on it because it's on my other monitor now. So I believe fighter would be before. No, the audacities are sooner. So audacity. If a carrier gets the same name, um, I'll just reuse it. Or if the carrier gets the same name, I'll put like a 1 or a 2 on it. So I'll put biter next, which is still in service. Um, so after those, I believe we get the courageous. So that would be courageous, glorious, and furious. No, we get Hermes. And then we get courageous, glorious, and furious. Follow that up with arc, royal, and eagle. And this is a lot of the spreadsheet stuff I have to do for like the Kerbal campaign and the normal list of battles for this. So I believe this is immediately followed up with the formidable class, right? I'm not missing any ships sunk. Yeah, Centaur is gonna be the only ship sunk, and she'll be like second to last on the list. So actually, we have another Estrella, so this would be Estrella 2, which means when we go up to Estrella 1. No, there we go. Estrella 1, Estrella 2. Put in Africa and then do. Then we follow that up with. And then Furious 2. Or is Furious 1? Okay, there we go. And now I can just quickly go through, and the only one of these sunk is Centaur. So the rest of these are in service. I've not scrapped any carriers yet as far. Yeah, I haven't. Okay, so now when I actually put squadrons on carriers, I can actually, easily list them on the sheet. Since I believe that is every carrier I currently have. Every carrier I built in there. Which means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. If I go to the almanac, it says I have 16 CVs and 2 CVLs in service, so that checks out. 18 is correct. Actually, how far down did I go on the list? I still have some reasonable distance to go. Okay, so if we look at our air groups, carrier-based fighter squadrons, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 41, 44. We have 44 fighter squadrons, but I imagine those would have been blocked out in a piecemeal manner. Actually, one thing I'm going to be using as a reference is this. So, historically, numbers 800 to 809 were single-seat fighter squadrons. So that's kind of the first block. Although interestingly, something I learned, something I looked up. The Blackburn Skua Britain or a dive bomber that Britain had was classified as a like in a secondary role as a fighter. So fighter squadrons, some of these squadrons here were receiving skuas early in the war, and the skua was not a very good plane, and Britain really didn't get a good dive bomber until the Barracuda, which was kind of also simultaneously a torpedo bomber. I guess maybe I'd have to find like a Vindicator squadron to figure out where it is, but really when going through these, yeah, you only get dive bomber squadrons here later on, which I'll have to see how I want to block things out. I do have 300 things I can split it up to. And part of me wants to do the same thing here, or the exact same usage as, what these were, or roughly. Um, but I am considering not going like super hard with this, because this is going to be in the context of World War II, and what we are fighting is not World War II. Um, yeah. uh, you know, Planes developed at different times and such. So, yeah. So I'm thinking Andromeda's. Okay, Andromeda's fighter squadron would have been recently created. If I look at all of them by name, Biter actually has the oldest squadrons out of all of these. So I think by this is I'm not gonna immediately make that the oldest fighter squadron, because we would have had fighters deployed on the three carriers built before Biter, and then those fighters would have been redeployed. Those squadrons probably would have been reformed on a later carrier. Um, when everything kind of got scrapped, or after everything got sunk. So I imagine in the time period in which everything commissioned, I would not be surprised if what should be considered squadrons like 800 to 809, I kind of think they would be over on probably like okay, no, 800, yeah, 800, 801 and 802. I think those would be on Estrella and Unicorn. I think those would have been reformed on these carriers. Although technically stuff got scrapped and then later reformed. So how about those are the fighters on Audacious? Change name, you will be 800. So okay, that's 800. Change name, you be the 801st. Then you will be the 802nd. And eventually, well, not eventually. Hopefully this video will be able to do that stuff. So, we can now say that these are active fighter squadrons on Station Audacious. Oh God, I forgot to type in their former numbers. Although it might actually be easy to figure it out. No, that would that's probably 4963, 49. Yeah, let's do 4961, 4962, 4963. I also do have a kill sheet, but the kill sheet's really only going to be for ships. Um, So I believe those are the squads I renamed. I will probably have to go back and check that. So I believe after that, then the 1920 squadron on Biter would be the next oldest. And that will be renamed 803. Okay, so we have the, yeah, 04, 05. Okay, so we have the other ones to still rename. Um, I'm back constructing this. Courageous's fighters would be pretty old. So I could see these guys. Yeah, I'll put these in. 3403 and 3404 will be instead 804 and 805. And then that would be on Courageous. Um, yeah, it looks like the next oldest are on Indefatigable. What I'll do is, I'm gonna allow Biter's second squadron to be the 806. At some point, I will have to figure out what the two fighter squadrons on Centaur would have been called. Give them some name, and then say that they're dead, they're destroyed. And the idea with this is that I can put squadrons on the inactive list, and then when I'm delete them, and then when I reform them, then I can have something a little bit more consistent. All right, so we got another 3 squadrons to name. How about we just call the ones on Indefatigable? That 807. 808, and then 809. That would be 4163. Okay, so I imagine what would have happened here is, given the history, um, that's our first block of fighter squadrons done. We need to be blocking out more fighter squadrons than that. But given how the tech in this progressed, I imagine that the next block would have immediately been given to torpedo bombers. So block 2 and probably block 3 as well would have been given to torpedo bombers, given the amount of them we would have had early on. Actually, I feel like some of these blocks would have been given to non-land based, or not non-land based, land-based squadrons as well. If we look at obsolete types of aircraft, um, when is our first medium bomber? Our first medium bomber is 1926. Okay, here's my thought. I'm going to have 2 groups of torpedo bombers for carrier. We are going to have a not yeah, 2 not carrier trained fighters there. Yeah, 2 not. Yeah, we'll do 2 not carrier trained fighters, fighter groups. Be like, okay, we're reserving these numbers for land-based aircraft or land-based fighter squadrons. Um, we'll block 2 out for land-based torpedo bomber squadrons, and then another 2 out for land-based patrol bomber squadrons. Um, I think that is reasonable given how everything would have progressed. Afterwards, I think this would be torpedo bomber squadrons, the late 800s here. Would be extra carrier trained torpedo. Well, would they be extra carrier trained torpedoes? Because, no, they'd probably be extra carrier trained. Okay, actually, no. Here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna do not carrier trained medium bombers down there for the 890s. Um, so I think how it would historically have progressed in this timeline would be, once we're done exhausting those out, would have done another block, probably another 2 fighter blocks and another 3 torpedo bomber blocks. Um, I think there might be another not carrier trained fighter reserve there. I don't think I'm gonna put float plane scout for any of these, as well as an additional one for torpedo bombers and an additional one for dive bombers, or not dive bombers, medium bombers. I feel like carrier trained fighters would be next, and I think um I'll do an additional block for carrier trained fighters and torpedo bombers there. Actually, this will be carrier trained dive bombers. No, actually no, that'll be 2 blocks of carrier trained fighters, and then we are going to do carrier trained dive bombers here. 3 blocks for the carrier trained dive bombers, which should be enough. And then after that, we still have a bunch of extra numbers we can use. So yeah, it's time to actually start filling these in. The next carrier trained fighter squadron would be 1700. So yeah, there's to be 1700 down to 1719. Um, no, I don't want aircraft types. I want air groups. So that was a newly formed squadron. That wouldn't be a revitalized squadron. Yeah, okay. I'll rename the ones on. Oh, okay. What's the next? Okay, let's sort by name. So where's the next? Oh yeah, we have a couple old dive bomber squadrons here on Courageous, but those used to be torpedo bomber squadrons. We did get dive bombers fairly late. Okay, so I think formidables. Yeah, these 2 squadrons. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna start going up and naming them that way. No more caring. So 1700. And put that into the former number for 1700. Actually, hold on. Um, air groups. Sort by role. Change name. 1701. Actually, no. Base and then roll. And then U. Change name. 1702. Okay, so Gibraltar squadrons need to be named now. $1703. Actually, hold on. Let's just go to Gibraltar. Change name 4, and that would be 4162. And this would be 4168. That would be 1705. Okay, so those all have their aircraft named. Let's make this one 1706. No. Um, hmm. Trying to decide what time is it. It's 8. Okay. We do have the carriers down here, which at some point we'll have to name, but these would be the newest fighter squadrons, outside of the ones lost on Centaur, which I will have to look up. That would require viewing the last episode again. So I think Gloriouses will be the next group, so that would be 1706. Change name. 1707. Let me put these on the proper carriers. I can do that afterwards. It's probably better if I do it afterwards just so that this doesn't consume an absurdly long amount of time. Once we have all the squadrons numbered, I can actually go through and give some of the more noteworthy ones names. Okay, so yeah, we're partway through this block again. I will give Argus the next one. 8. Change name. This would be 1709. And this would be 1710. Hold on. Change name. 1710 Squadron. There we go. Yeah, okay. We'll do Colossuses as the next group. Okay, so this is 4262. Then the other ones would be 4908 and 4909. Let's see. Name 12. 13. I'll do Implacables next. So we'll say, next time I do this, yeah, next time I do this, what I will probably do is I'll probably just do all this off stream rather than showing you this whole process. But I think showing this whole process one time is good. And the next time I do this will probably wind up being Rule the Waves 3, to be honest. Okay, so what carriers don't have it? So you don't have it. Yours are updated. Yours are not. That one is. That one is. Eagles are not. Yeah, we'll do Eagle next. So 4922, 23, and 24 will be renamed next. Yeah, okay. So change number. No, not change number. Change name. So this would be 1717. Change name. 1718, and then change name to 1719. Okay. So I actually now I've now exhausted this block. No, this is Eagle over there. I'll get the bases set up soon, but you know, I will set all these to active. So I do have to actually scroll down now to the next block of fighters I set out, which would be the 1780s and 1790s. So I think Hermes will be 1780 and 1781. Okay, why is that weird character appearing when I do a Control V? Um, I'll do Andromeda's here as 1782. So okay, so that gets us Andromeda Biter, Hermes, Courageous, Glorious, Eagle, Formidable, Argus, Implacable, Colossus, Indefatigable, and Gibraltar done, which means that really we only have Estrella, Unicorn, Africa, Pegasus, Audacious, Furious, as well as, you know, the squadrons lost on the Centaur. So these will be consecutively named. So Estrella's would be 4939 and 4940. Or would have been. It'll be 1783 and 1784. Unicorns will be so okay, so those were 4926 and 4927. So those would now be 1785 and 1786. 785 and 1786. Okay, Africa would be next. Hold on. Yeah, okay, so that would be 1787 and 1788 for what were before 4943 and 4944. So that would be 1787, 17, and 1788. Pegasus would be the next two, 1789 and 1790, and then that would immediately be followed with the lost groups from Centaur, and then followed up by the groups made for Audacious and Furious, and that would be the rest of the fighters. So let me actually just put those. Which means that currently, we're only gonna have like 3 spare um, carrier-based fighter squadrons before I have to put in another block. All right, so Pegasuses were 4930 and 4931. I'll actually just kind of go to Audacious here real quickly and rename them. Oh, no, Audaciouses are named. Sorry. Furiouses are not named. Furious would be Furiouses would be that. Okay, so because this change name to you would be the 1789 and 1790. Then on Furious, we would have 1793, 1794, and 1795. Okay, that is all the fighter squadrons we need. Wow, holy crap! Furious's dive bomber squadrons are so depleted right now. We need more dive bombers in service. Okay, so that gives me 2 destroyed squadrons I can reconstitute into something else, and then 5 um, fighter squadrons which I can, or 5 fighter squadron names which I can still use. Not carrier train fighters, I can still, I still have a big block out for that. But now it would be torpedo bomber time. What's the oldest torpedo bomber squadron? Biters. I'm not gonna give this one the oldest name, but it will be given one of the older names. So I think this will be 813. So okay, so the next oldest ones are what, Courageous, Argus, and then like the ones on Formidable and such. Actually, very few of the torpedo bomber squadrons are newly created. So a lot of these, um, yeah, a lot of these would have had names. Okay, so I think with the Lost Carriers, we would have had, multiple older torpedo bomber squadrons. Just because of like, you know, Cressy, Euralis, Andromeda, those sorts of things. No, not Andromeda, Cressy, Euralis. Um, yeah. So those squadrons would have been reconstituted onto something, but it probably wouldn't have been these early ones. These would probably be their own squadrons, I imagine. Yeah, these older squadrons would be still present. So I think I'm gonna use the reformed squadrons on Glorious, Hermes, and then this later one on Unicorn as 810, 811, 812. That weird thing keep appearing. Why does that keep appearing? And then yeah, eventually I will. What I'll probably do is off stream I will go back through and complete the actual spreadsheet itself. But right now I want to get all the squadrons named. I did also get some name suggestions, and I have posted out for more. It is very, very, very possible that I receive more name suggestions while making this video, or even like early in the next video. What I could do is I could just put this video out there, or get this done now. Have the video done for today, and basically next video I quickly go through and give some of the more noteworthy squadrons nicknames. Just to give me a little bit more time to gather a few more. Um, Posting them the comments of this video would be almost useless. I am close enough to caught up that if the war is still going on by the time you see this, I might still be able to catch them. If you have good suggestions, but like hopefully you're suggesting stuff on the community post, and I did get some suggestions on one of the posts from one person, and then um an extra singular suggestion from someone else. Okay, so those squadrons are renamed. I'm imagining those are like old reconstituted squadrons. So what I will do is these squadrons will be the next ones. So 814, 815. That is, yeah, there we go. Those are Air Base Halifax, so I won't be using those. Okay, so yeah, I'll just do like 816, 817 for these. If I had stuck to this previously, I think it would have been much easier. But, you know, oh well. I feel like 818 is gonna get a good name. Oh, I know. 819. Then this would be 820, because I did reserve 2 blocks here. I imagine would be done early on. '21. 22. 823. 24. 25. And then here would be the remaining ones. So this would be 26. 827. 828. 829. And because 830 is a land-based fighter squadron, the next torpedo bomber block would be 1720. Which means that the squadron on Furious is going to be 1720. So there are, in short, a bunch of extra torpedo bomber blocks. Now that I've inputted all of them in and that this is the latest torpedo bomber, and the explanation for that would be the over-reliance on torpedo bombers in the previous war, as we probably only have about like a third of the torpedo bomber force that we once did. It is possible that we could reconstitute some of these as dive bomber squadrons or land-based torpedo bomber squadrons. We'll have to kind of see how things work out there. But I think this'll work for now. And we'll just imagine that some of the older squadrons had different names and were reconstituted at some point. Or some of them were. Alright, so that is all. Yeah, okay, that's all the non-land-based torpedo bomber squadrons done. So dive bomber squadrons, these start late, and I think that they are late enough that I can just name them in order. Um, oh wait, hold on. There would have been a torpedo bomber squadron on Centaur. So if we look at that, that probably would have been, yeah, that would have been 829. So this will be 1721 instead on Audacious. Yeah, because I believe, yeah, Centaur would have been a mixed carrier. Okay. So I'll count Centaur's torpedo bomber group as destroyed, and Centaur would also have a dive bomber group somewhere. So I'll just go through the dive bombers in order. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 groups of dive bombers, and some of them are on air bases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are on air bases. So we'd have 21 dive bomber groups. And I blocked out 3 for carrier trained dive bombers. And then I'll block out another one for non-carrier trained dive bombers. I'll block out 2 for non-carrier trained dive bombers. Alright, so these would be 1800 through 1829. How about I just type in like the former numbers and then rename them all? 4, 5, 4, 6. Skip the air bases. 4899, 4903, 4907, 4913. So yeah, 4914. 4918, 4919. 4920, 4921. 4929. 4938. 4941 on actually I'm gonna shift those 2 down. Delete that, and then that one will have been the one between 4929 and 4938 will have been the one destroyed on Centaur. And not yet reconstituted. One of Furious's dive bomber groups doesn't have any dive. You know what? One possibility is that I try to pull like some of the really depleted carriers back to Northern Europe so that they just don't show up in combat. Especially now that we have a significant advantage. I only need to keep like 10 carriers on station, and I think I have 13. But yeah, I will be taking a look, seeing what is just depleted, and trying to pull some of the more depleted carriers back. Like maybe Furious goes back, replenishes her air groups for a bit, and then gets sent back over. What's, she actually has enough. Since like, yeah, with that many planes, I don't want her spawning in battle. Okay, so where was I? 4941 is there, so 4965. 4966. 4979. 4980. And then we have an Airbase Hamilton, which I'm not going to put on. Okay, cool. So we can now just kind of go through. Change name. Here's what I'll do. I'll do that. So now I'll do this. Come on. Okay, so which one am I skipping? 1815. Hold on. Did I get this wrong? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, yeah, I got this wrong. I'm a squadron off. Oh god. Change name. Oh god, I gotta go through and manually correct all of these. Just literally subtract one each time. Okay. Didn't take as long as I thought it would. And this is gonna be the most disappointing, like, hour-long episode ever. So Estrella's would be 1816, because we are skipping. The lost one on Centaur. Okay, there we go. You have up to 1821. So I believe that is all of the carrier-based squadrons named. Yeah, now we just got to do the land-based squadrons. Okay, so what's the earliest block I have for this? Fighters. So land-based fighter squadrons. So the oldest right now is this one. And I'll just do this in order. 4864, 4866, 4867, 4873, 4876, 4880. 4882. Six. And I'll be honest. This spreadsheet here, I think I mentioned this already. The spreadsheet I'm using, I will be using something similar to this in future Rule Waves 3 campaigns. Um, just to do the similar thing. It will probably be done more in the background, not all at once mid-campaign. This will be something where I will be trying to consistently name fighter squadrons from the start of the campaign. Or the aircraft squadrons from the start of the campaign. Okay, so change the name. The start of this block would be 8:30. So I'll copy that. And just I've actually just thought of one potential optimization I can make to the spreadsheet. But, for later. That would be not in the middle of this. Um, but I've just realized something with how names are, some of the names are going to be inputted and in the drop down menu, and I want to get that, fixed. Um, okay, so that is all of the land-based fighter squadrons given a thing. Torpedo bomber squadrons would be next. So 3530 and 3530 and 3535 would be the first two. We'd scroll down a bit to get to 4870. 4879. 4885. 4891. 4897. I believe that is it. Yeah, okay, that's it for the torpedo bombers. So this would be 850. And we're not even going to get all the way through the 850s there. This one would be 851. Change name. 52. Alright, so that's everything. Yeah, okay. That's all those done. Next up would be flying boats or patrol bombers. So, I'll just go through these sequentially as well. And then next would be medium bombers. That would be 3523 or 208 4871 4872 4875 4881 4887 4893 506 507 508 509 5. So I will say, at the very least, this spreadsheet is going to allow for a little bit more consistency across any remaining wars in this campaign. So we still have this war. So I would predict that this war, we estimate it ends in maybe 1 to 2 years. We'd probably get another one in the mid to late 40s, followed by another one in the early to mid 50s. So I think we have the entirety of this war plus 2 more wars left in this campaign. So at the very least, for these 3 wars, the fighter squadrons or the aircraft squadrons are going to be consistently named, and some of them will be going away, and then some will basically be coming back. Basically during the war preparation phase. No, let's make that 872 squadron. Actually, let's change this one, or not number, change name to. We'll make this one the 873rd. So we'll swap 872 and 873 here. So I can just delete the 4 on that one. That will be 874. 875. I'm really hoping that these don't wind up sharing names with any American squadrons. So I wonder if that could cause issues. Especially since I am basically using a modification of the way the game names squadrons. Okay. That's all the patrol bombers done. So medium bombers, I have an initial group of 10 here. And then we have a second group of 10 I can then use. So 4376, 4868, 4874, 4877, 480. 883, 4889, 4895, 5000, 5001, and 5004. And the good news is that I don't actually have to go to the second block of medium bombers to fit these all in. Alright, so we can just start naming them. So this would be, these are going to be the 890s. And I will promise you that between this episode and the next one, uh, I'm going to make a little graphic kind of showing what basically what the first two or three, basically everything but the ones digit signifies. Or I guess, what, yeah, what blocks are where for the future of this campaign. If any of you want to have that on hand and just we'll all need to have it on hand, but if anyone wants to have it on hand, just immediately know what's what. All right, so that would be the land-based dive bomb or medium bomber squadrons. So we get more carrier-based torpedo bomb or bigger block for carrier-based torpedo bomber squadrons, more blocks for other stuff, more blocks for carrier-based torpedo bombers, and then we get our dive bombers. So our land-based dive bombers don't have many. Um, there is part of me which wants to disband these squadrons so that they send their aircraft to carriers, because we just don't have enough dive bombers. I don't know if they're getting shot down or what, but it's really difficult to replenish all the ships, and I think Furious is so depleted at this point that she almost needs to return home. Um, okay. So the former numbers on these are going to be 4865, 4869, 4878, 4884, 4890, and 4896. Correct, yeah. And then they will get renamed to, okay, so this is the 1830 block. 1830, copy the 183. Gets us through 1835, which is consistent with what I have. And I believe that is now every aircraft squadron listed on the spreadsheet. But, I'm not going to go yet. I did have names suggested to me. I did have one in Discord and multiple elsewhere. So the one in Discord is Sovereign's Fist. Actually, I don't know if that's great. We'll use it. We'll use it on something. That sounds like something which would be part of the aircraft, or not aircraft, the ship Royal Sovereign, which is a full-on battleship. Why is it not showing the thing? Please don't crash. Save. It's like it would have been the air group of this ship, but ah well. Um, Given that it says fist, I'm thinking either fighter or torpedo bomber. Or no, could be dive bomber. So I do kind of want to go through and look at what squadrons have the most damage. Those have a lot of damage. Yeah, where's... Okay, I think score is, yeah, that's gonna be kills, bomb hits, and torpedo hits. So right now, indefatigable squadrons are really experienced. Um, so are Gibraltars, not to the same extent. Estrelas aren't. Unicorns have some experience. Audacious's do too. That could be the Ooh, okay, so I'm thinking that the named squadrons right now are largely going to be on Audacious, Indefatigable, and Gibraltar, mostly. Although if we actually look at like some of our main air bases here, St. John, their dive bombers and medium bombers have some stuff. Okay, so yeah, if you want to suggest like names, you can do that. But again, it's possible that the war would be over and many of these squadrons would be scrapped. Although, I could still apply the name to the squadron retroactively, and then when it's reformed in the next war, it'll get the name. So this was mostly on a merchant. So I think um the 822 will get that name. Cool. All right, so then we had all the names that Stephen McCoy suggested. So Condors, Raven, Piranha. I'm not gonna necessarily use all these, but I'll take a look. Piranha, Scorpion, Jin, Griffin, Vampire, Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Underdog, Snoopy. Oh, hold on. When does Snoopy appear? Oh, 1950. No, maybe. I'll hold off on that one. That becomes a pop culture reference. We are 9 years too early for that. I think. Although I think that name might get used. Barracuda, Penguin, Tiger Shark, Mako, Orca, Maelstrom, Cyclone, Polar Express. Okay. When did when was Polar Express a thing? Book release. 1985. Nope. Way too late. That is way beyond the scope of this. Actually, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down to Furious's groups here, and oh dear God, that torpedo bomber squadron's even so depleted. Oh God, were Furious's aircraft just like massively wrecked in the last mission, or have they just not built up? Anyway, I'm going to immediately reference this by giving these squadrons ghostly names. Um, so we'll have the Phantoms, the Ghouls, And then what would be another cool one? I'm, hmm, yeah, ghosts. Yeah, given those names because they don't exist, or that they're so small. Um, Fighter Squadrons and Furious will get that credit, but yeah, no, these guys are. You know what? They might have just been like really shot down the last mission, but I also feel like that's appropriate because they kind of got really shot down. So yeah, that's kind of dark actually thinking about it now. But we'll stick with it. Okay, so from yeah, okay, these ones will get the name Condors. I'll do Raven on another group. Probably be Gibraltar's dive bombers. I'm trying to think what would be something like very British, very standard British stuff. I've tried to ask some British people, and yeah, they not coming up with good ones. Actually, I know who to message. Hey, can you come up with a bunch of nicknames for fleet arm squadrons quickly on spot? All right, I'm now asking somebody to help name these, and well, like well, I ask him, I can keep adding some other ones in here. Actually, probably this squadron should get a good name. Hmm. You know what? I will do Barracudas to reference the the actually no, I'm because Barracuda was a dive bomber and a torpedo bomber, but I might want to put Barracudas on torpedo bomber groups as like fish in the water. That kind of makes sense. Whereas maybe the more bird names could be bombers. I feel like eagle would be bad because eagle's kind of the symbol of America. Okay, so I was just messaging the friend. He's like, did they have nicknames? They weren't American squadrons. Yeah, they didn't actually historically have nicknames until after the period we're talking about. I believe the 1950s, 1960s is the first time any get a nickname. I know the F-35 squadron they have, or the one which is working up is getting the name Valkyries. Take a verb and take an animal, I guess. I also feel like it is worth, or I also feel like part of the difference here with this campaign versus what historically happened with Britain was historically Britain, well, a didn't have as many like large carriers. They had a lot of light carriers during the war, but those would be very minor, less important squadrons. In terms of the major carriers, I mean, what you get three courageous class. I guess you get Hermes and Eagle, but uh, Eagle has some carrying capacity. Hermes really doesn't have much. As well as original Argus, but she doesn't have much carrying capacity. Okay, if we're going with larger carriers, you get the Courageouses, so that's three. You get Eagle, you get Ark Royal, and then you get what the Indomitables and Implacables, and I think that is five carriers combined, or five additional carriers combined. I guess you do get 10. But, a lot of those carriers were carrying only like 40 planes on them. Like 30, 40, maybe 50 planes at most. Really only are. I think in terms of like heavy carrying capacity, Ark Royal was the only carrier that the British built, which was, you know, more in line with what like what American and Japanese carriers carried at the time. The rest of them had just such smaller air groups. Take a verb and take an animal, I guess, is what he said. So I'm trying to think that would be good. Hmm. Okay, so I could go to inspiration. I know that they do have a squadron called the Flying Tigers, but that was formed in or named in the 60s. What did I get pinged on? Oh, I received Discord ping, and it was not what I expected. Not people helping me on this. Penguins would be funny, but no, flightless birds. That actually, that's okay. That sounds something that the British would do. Ooh, hold on, hold on, hold on. He was recommending a verb and then a noun. It's an adjective. Hold on. It's possible that what I do is I just input a few more and then call the episode and do something like that. Um, Hold on. Pompous. Oh, Army has a dedicated list of nicknames. Okay, I could use those. Like, I kind of like the Perilous Penguins. Although it sounds more like a sports team. That sounds exactly like something, like that little hint of sarcasm. It does sound like a sports. Oh God, I might hold off on doing the nicknames for now. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna need to ask for more help on this one. We'll start with that. We'll go back through. We'll name them later. I'm calling the episode now. I cannot do the nicknames thing. It is difficult to get them right because there is no historical precedence for what I am doing, and that makes things rough. So yeah, uh, next episode we'll start with nicknames and then we'll get into a battle. This has gone on way too long, and I'm now having to talk to people and try to gather some. So yeah, once I have a proper list of nicknames gathered, we'll start applying them to the squadrons, and that'll be that. So thank you everyone for watching this very long and very boring episode of Roll the Waves 2. Um, it's been me, No Name 7 Sport, attempting to name aircraft squadrons, and when I come back, hopefully we'll be able to get the rest done. We'll be able to get the squadrons with proper names and have everything sorted and actually do a battle. So yeah, thanks for watching. Links to my Discord, Twitch, and Twitter are down below if you want notifications on when other videos of this series go live, because obviously this is the one least worth watching of all of them. Alright, bye!